We're here in Sha'ar HaYichud. My name is Eliyahu Pereira, and we're going to be starting a new series on a book from Rav Itzchak Bezinson called Neshama Neshima. It doesn't look like this anymore. There's a newer edition, but this is a book essentially coming to teach us the principles of breathwork and breathing within the Jewish world and the Jewish perspective on the world, and aligned with the Torah and the Dat of the Tzaddikim. And God willing, this series is going to open the eyes of a lot of people that maybe didn't know the importance of breath, or didn't really contemplate it that much, or don't know how to progress, or heard about things, but they knew that they came from the East and they were scared whether it was kosher or not to get involved with these kinds of things. This is a book that will clarify a lot for you and open up many, many new horizons for you to explore in your spiritual journey in this life. And obviously, with breath being so essential, as we all know, it is the number one most important thing that a human being has in the world. More than anything else, physically, you need oxygen. You need to be able to breathe. You can last days without water. You can last even longer without food. But without oxygen, you can barely last a few minutes. So if it's that essential, and God created a world that breathing is that important, the number one thing you need physically, obviously there has to be a very, 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 very deep spiritual side to it, like we've already learned in the past about eating and about every other thing that we engage with in this physical world. So Avodat Hashem, we're going to try to go from the book from the beginning. And the book starts with a little chapter that's called Sipur, a story. For many years, Rav Bezinson says, Rav Bezinson, just to give a little bit of a background, whoever knows Rav Israel Itzchak Bezinson, it is his Rav that taught him what is Hitbodedut and brought him closer to Rabbi Nachman, and he actually he was his shadchan, he introduced him to his wife. Rav Bezinson is a very older yid, and he is a giant tzaddik that is connected to the teachings of Rabbi Nachman of Breslov. In his younger years, he received from Rav Itzchak Bender, who was the bridge between Europe and Mea Sharim, Jerusalem, for Breslov, the person that helped transition from the Europe Breslov life to Eretz Yisrael Breslov life, and set up all of the Breslov communities here in Israel. He was the leading authority in the land of Israel, in the Breslov world. And later on in his life, Rav Yitzchak Bezinson connected it more. He's still alive right now. May Hashem give him refuah shlema and much health, and biskut that he's teaching us how to become healthy. But later on in his life, he connected more to Saba Israel, Rav Israel Itzchak, the Nanach rabbi that we see all the pictures with his hands up, smiling. He connected more to him, and they were both two extremes in Breslov. They're two different opposite ends of the teachings of Rabbi Nachman, and he struggled with this for a while until he went to Rabbi Yaakov Meir Shechter, who is now in his 90s. He's now in the role that Rav Levi Yitzchak Bender was once, the leader of the elders of Breslov, and I told him that he's going through this difficulty. And Rabbi Yaakov Meir Shechter, in his wisdom, told him it's written in the Gemara that there's space in the head for two tefillin. Meaning, don't be in such a predicament. You receive from him and you receive from him, and they're both okay. Your head is able to handle both opinions. So he's a very interesting tzaddik that has a strong power of prayer and connection to the world, but still very, very holy and lofty in his ideas. So Avodat Hashem, he says here in the beginning of the book, for many, many years, he's very interested in this idea of neshima im neshama, breathing with the neshama. Obviously, neshama in Hebrew means soul, and neshima with a yud means breathing. So clearly there's also a connection between the two words, and we know that our soul essentially is the exhale of God into us, right? God blew into us our soul that made us human beings that were able to communicate. That was the breath of God. So our soul is directly connected. The first time we're introduced to what a soul is in the Torah, it is by way of breath. So he explains that he's very interested in this topic, and he has times where more, times where less. Sometimes it comes and then it falls down, and it comes and goes, and he breathes and he doesn't breathe. All these different back and forth with this idea of breath work. And even though that's the case, since he started to learn about breathing, he was convinced that this blend of neshima and neshama, breathing with a soul, breathing with consciousness, so to say, is a very, very, very important tool for every single person in our generation to save souls mamash, to really, really save souls. For everybody who is choking, since the air is so polluted on all different facets, in all different aspects, the air is so polluted, we can all understand what he's meaning. Whether it's the fact that the Or Ganu is the hidden light of Hashem that's hidden inside of it and we don't understand it, or on the side of all of the different actual pollution that is going on in the world, spiritually and physically. Therefore, for sure, when you find a person who's ready to gird his loins and to live a real life, to bring back ruach lefregerim, to bring back a spirit to the dead bodies, hayosher legalot et segula la'am segula, he who wants in straightness to reveal the auspicious things to the auspicious nation, the gems to the precious nation. ואם מפאת נסיבות בריאותיות קשות העיר לי השם דברך להתחייב הפעם לעניין נשימות בצורה חד סטרית. Since he, the Rav says, Rav Itzchak says, that he went through so many hardships physically in his health, Hashem gave him the light that now you're going to focus on a one-way direction on breathing. There's no ups and downs now. Go all the way in on breathing. כך עשיתי עד שתוך כדי התמדה בתרגול סימני הצלחה מתנוצצים בו נתווסף לי חומר עשיר ומגוון למידי מכל המקורות המצויים בתחום זה. Since he was forced by Hashem into this idea of breathing, what happened? Now, not only did he become more practiced and more regular in his breathing exercises, he started to see signs of success sparkling throughout the journey, and he gathered a lot of wealth and knowledge and understanding of the world of breathing from so many different sources that are mamash experts in the field. There's too many pages, the chapters and the notebooks that he's put together, but with that also came a lot of hesitation. So on the one side, he has all the content to give to us about breathing. On the other hand, he's asking the question, who am I talking to? What kind of Jews am I talking to? Who am I speaking to within Am Yisrael? Which language am I talking to? What level of interest spiritually am I dealing with here? And while he's dealing with all of these decisions, he gets a Saba Israel. He found the Nanach, right? The Nachman Neumann was a note that was found by Rav Israel Itzchak inside a book when he was going through a hard time. So he says, I found min pitka min shmaya, a note from heaven. Like that's what Saba said about it when he found the note with Nanach on it. So he says here too, I found like a note from heaven. What was it? One of his students, a female student that reads his teachings, she wrote in a letter that opened up for him the gate of tshuva, he says, and it opened up a gate, and the answer to her question gave birth to this book that we're dealing with right now. Right? So he's going through a hard time. The Rav, there's so much about breathwork. I have to teach more about breathing with consciousness, God consciousness, and soul breathing. But who am I meant to talk to? What level of spirituality? What kind of Jew? And then he gets this letter. And because of this letter, the answer he wrote to her made this book. This was her letter. I feel very stuck in life, and this caused me great depression. I'm stuck spiritually, that I'm not able to make progress and to give my neshama the food that she needs. I'm stuck on the side of not maximizing the talents and the skills and the abilities that Hashem gave me, that I'm not able to do anything with them. There's things that are keeping me stuck and I'm conscious of them, fear of failing, a lack of self-esteem, but I'm not able to get rid of these things, and I stay stuck inside my prison. And then she says like this in Hebrew, and this very much darkens my soul that wants to breathe and wants to illuminate. That's how she wrote in her letter. 4 pure years have passed since he got that letter. And all of a sudden, and all of a sudden, another letter comes that the book already went, right? The book was already being worked on, and another letter comes after 4 years. But this time the letter is filled with hope and filled with emotion, and we're going to be able to read it when we get to the 148th page, 100 pages from now, right? 101 pages from now. And that's why now I have the book, because they reprinted this book. Because of the second letter that she sent after 4 years of the book being out, she finally read it and she answered the Rav. Now they decided they're going to be printing this book more and more and more. So it got into the hands of Rav Yitzchak, it got into my hand, and I immediately connected, and I've been just cooking on it, trying to understand how we can give it over. And here we are doing it now. This book was nearly put away, he says. Says Kimat Nignas. He nearly put it away in Gniza and didn't let it out anymore. He did one round of it and he wasn't going to continue. So this was his hope, that this woman that was reading it, and so too all of us precious readers, he calls us, you shall find for yourself some kind of answer amongst all of these holy piles. The fruit of this effort and this research that went into this. And what is our prayer? What is the author's prayer of Yitzchak? May it be the will of our Father in heaven that those readers that, like me, identify in heart and soul to this emotional reading will find an answer to strengthen them, their spirits. And by way of this, we'll have brand new openings for the seekers of living spirit. And again, ruach in Hebrew, spirit, is also ruach, wind. Wind and spirit are the same word in Hebrew, right? So in this book, it's going to come up a lot. That's why it's important to say it already now. Whenever we say ruach, you can always play it doubly on your emotions and on breath and air and just wind. Right? Linshom pishnaim, to breathe twice. Shmirucho shel Rabbeinu Nachman, from the spirit of Rabbi Nachman, nune ube, in and out, from in us and in them, u'mishnatenu, and from what we learned in the Mishnah, shel yada tavo ha'geula, and that by way of this will come a geula. Meaning from everything that he's learned and from the spirit of the teachings of Rabbi Nachman, may we go in now to a whole new level and brand new horizons in this amazing book on breathing. So we can't stop there. We got to keep pushing at least the first little part, and this is the answer. Mima'amakim. First section part is called From the Depths. He writes, your letter was received by me, and I take part in your pain. This pain of the soul, the aspect of ayeh, where is the place of Hashem's honor in this world? But I must say that there was wonderful divine providence here. Right now I'm dealing with a sugya, I'm dealing with an idea right now in Torah that can very, very much answer to your requests. To bring for them a fundamental solution. Therefore, in the merit of your question, there was an arousal inside of me for a very long answer. I will answer my answer on my portion on these things, and I'm not answering it just for you. Rather, to all of the holy souls that are in relation to this idea of what she's talking about, not being able to make progress, not being able to make spiritual or physical progress in this world, feeling like your neshama is dark, feeling like it's not able to breathe, feeling like it's not able to illuminate the world, and you know it should be, and you're not able to get past the things that are holding you back. Right? This is going to be an answer that if you really, really want to, if you're a holy neshama that wants to work on yourself, from this book you're going to get answers for sure on how to make progress. And I can promise you it's true. I'm already working on it a little bit. It's mamash true. He says we're going to start from the end of the letter. That there you came out with a saying, with a phrase that just shows very well the danger and the trouble that your soul is in. It makes very much darkens my soul that wants to breathe and that wants to illuminate. The main thing is that if your soul wants to breathe and is screaming out to you so much that your hand starts to write, that you start to write letters to rabbis to help you, you have to help her. You have to help her to breathe. How? By way of taking your vital soul, your nefesh, take your external physical breaths, right? Make them longer and make them more consistent. Breathe, in other words. Start to work on your breath. The people of our generation have forgot how to breathe. A baby 1 day old knows very well how to breathe. You don't do a full breath, just breathing with the stomach. Every newborn baby, that's how they breathe. Smaller diaphragm breaths, right? Smaller stomach breaths, not full breaths. After that, everything is forgotten. Then no one takes care and worries and cares for this child to give him back this very, very vital information. Have you ever heard about a school that taught kids how to breathe properly and to take advantage of the tool that's called breath for their benefit and for their good? Hashem gave every single creature the ability to breathe, right? He just has to know how to use it. What's the proof? In your lungs, you have a few liters of air. But if you don't inhale enough air, only some of those liters are changed out of your lung. Right? Your lungs are filled with liters of air. If you don't take a proper deep breath, then you're only changing out a little bit of that air. And that's if so already, right? You only really take out what is the most pressed to get out and what is the most essential to get out when you breathe irregularly. The rest that doesn't get out, that is not exhausted out of your lungs, right? It stays there and it stays inside your lungs. It doesn't change and it doesn't flow. It just dries up. It's like stale air inside your lungs. It's polluted and rotten, all of it. It's like completely just messed up air inside your lungs because you didn't breathe properly. What's the outcome of this? There's no oxygen that can purify the blood and to cool down the fire of the heart. Rabbi Nachman talks about this a lot, that if a person has too much passion, even if it's holy passion for Hashem, they're going to burn out. The heart has to always be cooled down, and that's by way of the lungs, which is learning Torah. You have to learn Torah in a way that it calms down the fire that you have inside your heart. This system now can't work according to how it's meant to work, right? It's not managing to change out air. So therefore your brain also doesn't work like it's meant to. It's known that inside a person's body there's all different types of liquids, right? There's lymphs, there's oils that just go around and they do different jobs inside the body. There's those that are thicker, There's those that are more congealed. There's those that flow more, that are finer, right? There's all different types of liquids. Every single one of them is doing its vital part in the biological system. ואלה תלויים בנשימות למען הבאתם ליעדם, ואם לא, אז אין אספקה כראוי ואין השכל מאיר כל צורכו. ובמקרים לא מעטים גם נכבה אורו. A lot of them, of these systems and of these body parts and these oils, right? These oils that need to move around the body, excuse me, these oils that need to move around the body, they work depending on your breath. And if you're not breathing properly, then they're not getting to their goal, they're not getting to their target in the body where they need to be to lubricate or to whatever it is, right inside the body. These oils and these liquids are not making it there. And in certain situations, now all of a sudden the intellect won't be bright for a person. He won't be able to think clearly. He won't be able to get his thoughts across. He'll be in a bad mood. He doesn't have energy. He doesn't have all these things. And in a very common situation could be that the light completely gets shut off. Person just can't do anything. Like he's just like a zombie, right? Why? Because he's not breathing. Things are not moving right. If all of your inner system is lacking ventilation and circulation like it needs, מובן שבמצב כזה כל התגובות הקשורות מבחינת מוח ולב שכל ורגש תקועות וכלואות בחלם ממש כמובן ממכתבך. If you're not able to give your inner system the airflow that it needs, obviously everything connected to brain and heart is going to be cloudy and is going to be delayed, is going to be lagging. The systems are not getting air, then the systems are going to be slow, right? And that's all the pain that she's experiencing in her letter. Lack of physical success, lack of spiritual success. Why? She's not breathing according to what the Rav's saying. בנוסף לכך, on top of this, אפילו לאלה הנזהרים יותר לשאוף אוויר בכמות הנדרשת. Even for those that know how to breathe and they're cautious with their breathing, that they take proper breaths and they change out the poison in their lungs, the polluted air that's in their lungs. הרי שמבחינת איכותו האוויר המונשם מזוהם מדי. Okay, a person knows how to breathe, but what air is he breathing? Where is he in the world and what kind of air is he breathing? Polluted city air? So okay, so you know how to breathe, but what are the actual quality of the air that you're breathing? What is it? It's too polluted in our times. כתוצאה מכך אין המוח של רובנו מאוברר כל צורכו. Since that's the case, that the air is so polluted, even if you know how to breathe, the majority of people nowadays, they don't have enough ventilation in their body. ומכאן שבעולם מסתובבים מיליארדי יצורים חסרי רוח חיים ומלא פחמן דו-חמצני ופיח כבשני הזיהום לרבות כל מיני עישונים. Crazy situation. He says, as an outcome of that, most of us are not properly ventilated. Our brain can't function properly. And we have billions of creatures lacking any living spirit inside of them, filled with carbon dioxide, and the soot of the furnaces of the world, meaning all the pollution that we have, all the blackness from all the factories and the cars, לרבות כל מיני עישונים, not to mention all of the smoking that's going on in the world. ולמרבית הסתירה מכל המתנות שחנן הבורא לאדם ברוב חמלתו. And it's such a contradiction that out of all of the gifts that Hashem beseeched upon His people, that gave upon His people, bestowed upon His people, אלה עיקריות הם הכי זולות. The ones that are most vital and the most needed for mankind are the cheapest. Bread, few shekels. Water, even cheaper. Air, the most needed thing in the world, completely free. הלא חבל הוא שהאדם יקדיש רוב זמנו למותרות בזמן שהכי נחוץ הוצא לו ללא תשלום. Why are you focusing on all these other extracurriculars, all these other things, when the thing that you need the most is right there without any pay? It's completely free. How much have you invested in the thing that's free? We all invest in things that cost us money and cost us energy to take care of, really a lot of thing that's easiest and most needed for us is to breathe. How much have we learned about breathing in our lives? What is this similar to? To a very, very rich person, a person that has tons of money, that he prefers to stay homeless and to not take the money out of his account in order to... he just wants to, right? All he's willing to pull out of his account is enough to get by. He has tons of money. But he would rather stay homeless and go eat at McDonald's every day and buy the cheapest tent and the cheapest sleeping bag, right? So that let me just get by. I don't want to touch my bank accounts. Who's at fault here? This is not the main question. The time for revolution has come. We have to renew this fundamental information, and we have to teach people, the postmodern people, this essential action of breathing. To take in and to take out air in the proper quantity. Simply put, how much do you need to breathe? Like a baby that's 1 day old, who still hasn't been defiled by the rotten education system. Does everything we've said so far not align with your lofty aspirations? But the truth is, for sure it does, and we'll talk about it more next time. Avodat Hashem. What did we get out of here? Breathing is essential. If you don't feel good, if you can't think straight, if your emotions are in a mess, start to breathe. Why? Because on a simple scientific biological level, you have liquids in your body that are meant to keep everything moving and working, and if you don't breathe, those liquids are not moving, which means you're going to become stupid, sealed off, angry, impatient, everything else negative that you could think of. You have to breathe enough to change out the polluted air that's inside your lungs, the liters of air that need to be switched out, right? And you also have to be trying to breathe the best quality air that you can according to your situation. So Avodat Hashem, we're going to keep on going on this book. Next time that we're going to come to this class, we're going to be learning about the four elements in the beginning of all breath, and where does this come from, to understand it from the beginning. And we're going to continue going on and learning what is Eastern breathing, what is Jewish breathing, who's Avraham Avinu, what happened, how did these things develop throughout the world. And we're going to get to words from tzaddikim over the generations. We're going to get to practical advice on how to breathe. We're going to get to different intentions and Kabbalistic meditations that you can do, and simple meditations to get through this, to be able to take your life, because life is breathing, to the next level. Avodat Hashem.